Bitcoin is currently trading back at $86,000 and XRP is trading at $2.04. And the big question here is, what is going on? What is happening? What is the main thing driving this negative sell pressure? I'm going to go over a lot of things in this video, but one thing that's extremely clear to me is they want us out. Who are they? They are institutional players, Wall Street players that want to buy lower. They want to shake the tree as much as possible. And so far it has been working. There's a lot of people now flipping extremely bearish on X. I saw a post, which I will be, putting on the screen here in a moment. But I want to go over a few things before we get into that. So let's first start off with, Bitcoin, because again, today was the weekly candle close for, crypto, and it wasn't a terrible weekly candle close for Bitcoin. We, closed right around on Bitcoin at around like 90.7K. We are still holding support. And since then, we sold off. Now, the big thing that I'm really looking at here is previous patterns. I don't want to say for certain that we're going to do the same exact thing over here from back in March and April, where we had a slight potential reversal here in the market that led to us selling off, making a lower low, and then we went back to the upside. I don't want to say that we're going to repeat that pattern perfectly, because we're just not, right? Because we're not going to see an exact same repeat of that, but it could be very similar. Now, I've said it many times over. I don't think that we're going into a bear market. However, 2025 has been a pretty significant bearish year for crypto. Most crypto projects, outside of a few like XRP, made a new high back in July. It's been just a constant lower high, lower low overall structure. And this is telling us that 2025 has become a pretty bearish year for crypto. However, I don't think that that's going to continue going into 2026, especially considering the fact that most of the big issues surrounding crypto and being that major pressure driver of downward price action, all of that's clearing up, aka liquidity, which we've talked about, right? Everyone's so fixated on the 4-year cycle. However, they don't understand what's actually driving the 4-year cycle anyways, which is, of course, liquidity. So when liquidity starts to constrain and contract a bit, we start to see downward price action. We know that starting in December, so today, tomorrow, liquidity is going to start to improve. Now, it is a lagging factor. It doesn't happen immediate. I see a lot of people saying like, oh, dates don't matter at all because the price never, jumps. We're not talking about price action jumps. We're not talking about dates, aligned perfectly with price action. We're talking about dates aligned with things changing around finance that can improve factors that could improve price action, aka liquidity. Now, XRP definitely had a major sell-off as well, and I've been talking about some key areas of interest. Number one, when it comes back to XRP, the main thing was the daily view. We have been trading at resistance for quite some time now on XRP, right around $2.22. We have had multiple daily candle closes below this resistance level, and now we're seeing the big sell-off. But still, what was the main price driver of this? Well, we know that China made an announcement. So we have here, China's central bank reaffirmed its crypto ban and warned it will intensify its crackdown on stablecoins. This is comical for multiple reasons, which I'll go over here in a second. Number one, let's first start off with the market cap of crypto. So yes, we did see a slight downtrend form on the total market cap of crypto. And then today we saw just a cascade below $3 trillion. This was driven by, of course, liquidations. I don't think that they have a liquidation heat map here. But I do know on other websites there is a heat map that you could follow. But the main thing that I'm looking at here is, number one, we're still in fear. We're at about roughly 24 fear. The market cap of crypto is below 3 trillion. Bitcoin is below 90K again. and everyone thinks that this is the end. I saw a post from James Wynn, and of course, you guys already know that James Wynn has become pretty much like a meme in this space. However, a lot of people are in the same sort of group that James is in right now, which is, of course, the bearish group. We have here that I'd quite confidently say that we are somewhere in the region of anxiety and denial. Next up will be panic. I expect that to bring us down to my initial price target of 67K, previous cycle's all-time highs. However, with that being said, I do believe that we will go as low as 40s to 50s. And he believes that we're in that anxiety and denial phase. It's kind of crazy because, again, everyone is trying to predict this market and they're trying to align it perfectly with previous markets. However, liquidity has changed significantly this time around, which means it affects the time frame. It affects the overall setup for this cycle. But also, the main thing that we've been seeing is so much negative announcements and all this bearish headline, news articles as well. It goes back to the tariffs and the trade war, right? It's been just nothing but negative headlines almost all of 2025. Yes, there's been a lot of great news within that as well, but the price action and the negative announcements have kind of overshadowed everything good. Now, the reason why I find it comical that China is now having a crypto ban again is because of what we've seen back in 2020 into 2021. It even goes all the way back to 2013, by the way. So let's go all the way back to 2013. Banks banned from Bitcoin. 2014, false report of Bitcoin ban in China. 2017, closure of local exchanges. 2019, warning to miners. 2021, state-owned bank bans Bitcoin transactions. Then, of course, we have China bans people selling crypto. Authorities shut off electricity to Bitcoin miners. Then we also witnessed State Council of China reiterates ban Chinese search engines block exchanges, ban cryptocurrency mining. Shuts down the website and social media of high-profile blockchains. All crypto-related transactions are illegal. And again, China has tried to ban blockchain and crypto so many times, especially during 2020. I remember in 2020, if it wasn't China banning Bitcoin or crypto, it was India. India was constantly saying, oh, well, we're banning Bitcoin, we're banning crypto. We want to get, rid of this stuff. And it was almost like a new article every single month. And again, we all know what happened back in 2020 into 2021. We saw one of the biggest bull runs in history. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to see the same exact thing, but I'm just saying that when we start to see headlines like this, I start to look at the past, and I see what happened when we saw these types of headlines with the fear that we see in the market. Now, on top of that, this led to Bitcoin falling over $4,000, which led to, of course, mass liquidations. I've said it time and time again. Stop playing with leverage. Leverage is just ridiculous in this game. You do not need it at all. If you don't know what you're doing, play with spot. Even people that do know what they're doing, they are getting liquidated. Over $400 million worth of leverage longs were liquidated over the last 60 minutes. By the way, this got even worse with over $200+ million worth of longs getting liquidated. And then we saw $40 billion wiped out of crypto in a matter of hours. Again, this is all over the weekend, by the way. Why is that a big focus? Because again, weekend price action is so much easier to manipulate than price action during the week. We are not tied to anything during the weekend. During the week, we are still tied back to stocks. We're still kind of following stocks in a sense. So when we think about the weekend price action, it's prime time for manipulation. Now, on top of that, we did see US stock market futures also falling because of the sell-off in crypto. The total market cap is now back below 3 trillion, which we talked about. But again, this is affecting every single market. Everyone's starting to get terrified still. It's kind of like a back and forth. We see one day we're back, the next day, oh, it's over. And it's just been a repeat of that for well over like 10 months now. And I don't think that it's going to really slow down until we start to flip key levels. But this has been a back and forth battle. Now, the biggest thing, and one thing that I have been focused on here is, of course, XRP. Because if we think about XRP, almost every single major sell-off so far in the month of November has been, directly correlated to ETF launches for XRP. I even said over here that the 5th spot-based US XRP ETF launches tomorrow. It is rumored to launch tomorrow. I haven't really seen any major confirmation from 21 Shares on this. We just know that they were hinting at it and they were hyping it up a bit, talking about XRP Army, like, get ready. Before that, they said that they heard really good news. I forgot where it was, but they've been posting quite a bit about ETFs. But we do know that they did file for an XRP ETF, and it was specifically rumored to be launched, of course, today, aka tomorrow. And I said that nearly all ETF launches happen around a market sell-off, which I don't believe is a coincidence. Clear plan here, i.e. attempt to suppress the success of XRP ETFs. And yeah, listen, I've said it many times over. I said it even going back to the 13th. And then we dumped Bitcoin the day of the XRP ETF approval to suppress the market even more. And obviously this was like a nice little meme, but it's still so important to focus on because we got another ETF launch on the 20th. And of course, we got another sell-off on Bitcoin. If we're looking back at the last 2 ETF launches prior to, of course, Franklin Templeton and Grayscale, here we have Canary Capital's ETF launches for XRP. Again, market sells off, continues to sell off into the next official ETF launch, which was, of course, the Bitwise ETF launch. Again, another deep sell-off. Then we get Grayscale and Franklin Templeton, and we start to pump to the upside. Then going into, of course, today, another ETF launch is rumored. We have another massive sell-off. Again, this is clear manipulation. And no, it doesn't have to really circulate around XRP. I just think that it's very interesting that all of these sell-offs have happened either the day of, the day prior, or the day after an ETF launches for XRP. I just think that it's too coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences, especially when it comes to markets that are reliant upon emotions. And I just feel like at this point, I know that there's a lot of narratives out there, right? Oh, Wall Street and institutional players are selling off. They're, trying to crash the market to buy back lower for XRP, and they want to, get a hold of XRP before the ETFs go officially live and this, that, whatever. There's been a ton of narrative circulating around this space. But one thing that I can say for certain, especially, being in crypto for so long, is that this market is extremely heavily manipulated. It's even more manipulated than stocks and other markets as well, because again, those other markets, guess what? They're regulated. And although regulations doesn't mean that, oh, hey, these markets can't be manipulated, it does mean that there is some rules in place. With crypto, there's no regulations for crypto, which means we could see massive amounts of manipulation. We could see exchanges force selling people's positions, targeting their, leverage positions as well. We could see, major institutional players and Wall Street players pushing headline articles while selling or buying. We saw this even with JP Morgan going back years and years ago. They were saying, oh, anyone that buys Bitcoin is no longer working at JP Morgan, even though they were buying Bitcoin overseas on exchanges. I mean, this is a classic game of manipulation. And again, retail is the one that gets mainly affected by this, especially those that are in leverage positions, and even spot positions. A lot of people, when they see a major sell-off like what we are seeing in the market today, or even when it goes back to XRP, right? Like, this is a deep sell-off. If we look at, the 1 hour, this is a deep sell-off regardless of, if you're holding spot or leverage positions. And this does shake the tree quite a bit. I mean, if we think about most of the market, most of these altcoins haven't made a new high. And I said that since going all the way back to like January. However, let's just pull up XLM, right? XLM is a perfect example of why most people have probably just jumped out of this space and never turned back. Because XLM topped back in November of last year. Guys, it's been over 378 days since XLM made a new high on this chart, and we've just been going sideways and in a downtrend. This is what I mean by this market will shake you out. It doesn't have to shake you out in terms of price action only as well. We could see 2 areas of interest here. Price action being a major driver of a shakeout, but also time capitulation, making people wait as long as possible because, again, typically we are impatient. So a lot of people will get very impatient. They will be selling. They will jump out. And then all of a sudden we start to see a reversal in the market. Now, when are we going to see a reversal in the market? Well, that's a good question. And ultimately speaking, if we start to see liquidity improve in December the way that we are looking at, we know that the Fed is ending QT, which is a huge signal that they could potentially start QE. If that does happen, if we get the Fed rate cut on December 10th as well, and we start to see liquidity improve, by the middle of December, towards the end of December, we should see a reversal in the market. Now, we need to be very patient here, and we need to ensure that we are watching key levels. We should not lose our prior lows on Bitcoin. We should not break below our lows going all the way back here to April. If we break this, then it invalidates any sign of a major reversal, and we are most likely in a deep bear market. And again, we're just focused on these lows being the main lifeline here. Even with XRP, I've talked about XRP on multiple occasions, especially when it goes back to weekly candle closes. The main thing that we're looking at with XRP is we shouldn't technically lose the low wicks, but we shouldn't have a weekly candle close below $1.89. A weekly candle close below $1.89 would signal that, hey, guess what? A reversal is most likely not going to happen. We're probably going to go after some significant lows. And the next key area after that, we're talking about like $1.50, potentially even lower, depending on if that doesn't hold or not. So that's why we are watching on, a lot of these charts for key lows to hold and for key levels to be maintained. So we're going to take it one step at a time. I'll keep you guys posted, but this sell-off, in my opinion, was coordinated. It was manipulated, and we have been getting manipulated this entire time, and we're just waiting for it to end. And a lot of people are waiting for it to end. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.